Have you ever been driving to mountains at night and suddenly realize something in the woods is keeping pace with your car, even though there's no road out there? Hi everyone and welcome to Mr. Unknown Storyteller. If you are new here, hit subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon for more stories like that. We dive into the darkest, chilling horror stories. Tonight's story comes from the deep forests of Appalachia, a place where locals will tell you one thing over and over again: never go into the woods after dark, because something out there watches the trails, and sometimes it follows you home. This happened back in October 2019. My name's Jake, and I swear to God what I'm about to tell you is 100% real. I grew up in a small town in West Virginia, right on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains. If you've never been out there before, let me tell you something: those woods are different. They feel alive, like the trees are watching you. Most nights the forest is quiet, just whine through the leaves and the sound of crickets. Sometimes it goes completely silent, and every local knows it's the moment you need to get the hell out of there. Back then I was 24 and working construction. Long days, early morning, typical small town grind. One Friday night, my buddy Tyler called me up. Yo man, we're heading up to Miller's Ridge. You in or what? Now Miller's Ridge is this old logging trailway up the mountains. Kids from town go up there to drink, tell ghost stories, dumb stuff. I wasn't really feeling it, but Tyler kept pushing. Come on through, it's Friday night, don't be late. So eventually I said screw it and grabbed my keys. Worst decision I ever made. By the time I got there, it was around 11 p.m. Tyler and two other guys were already parked near the trailhead. Their truck headlights were lighting up the forest road. The trees looked huge in that light, like giant black pillars stretching up into the dark. I remember stepping out of my car and immediately feeling something weird. The air felt heavy, like a storm was coming. Even though the sky was clear, Tyler tossed me a beer and laughed. Did you look like you just saw a ghost? I laughed it off, but something felt wrong. The woods were too quiet. No bugs, no wind. Nothing, just dead silence. One of the guys, Chris, pointed up the trail. You ever hear about the stuff people see up here? Tyler rolled his eyes. Bro, don't start that creepy crap again. But Chris looked serious. People say something lives out here, something that ain't exactly human. I laughed. Yeah, okay, man. Bigfoot, right? Chris shook his head slowly. Nah, not Bigfoot. They say it looks like a person sometimes, but it moves wrong, like his bones ain't built right. Tyler cracked up laughing. Alright, did you been watching too many horror movies? We started walking the trail. Flashlights cutting through the darkness, leaves crunching under our boots. The deeper we went, the darker it got, the trees closed around us, and that weird feeling in my stomach kept getting worse. About 15 minutes in, we reached an old clearing where the loggers used to store food. There was an abandoned shack sitting there, half collapsed, windows broken, door hanging off the hinges. Tyler kicked the door open. Perfect place for a horror movie scene. We all laughed and stepped inside. The floor creaked under our weight, dust floating in the flashlight beams. Chris suddenly froze. Yo, did you guys hear that? We all stopped. For a second there was nothing. Then a sound came from the woods outside. Something moving through the leaves. Slow, heavy, like footsteps. Tyler leaned toward the doorway. Probably a deer. But the footsteps stopped the second he said that. Complete silence again. And then something weird happened. From somewhere deep in the forest, we heard a voice. It sounded like a man, but something about it was off. Hello. The word echoed through the trees, but it sounded stretched, like someone was trying really hard to copy how humans talk. Chris whispered, Yo, who the hell is out there? No answer, just silence. Then the voice came again. Hello. This time it sounded closer. Tyler laughed nervously, probably some dude messing with us. He stepped outside with his flashlight. Alright, funny guy, come on out. Beams swept across the trees. Nothing just endless forest. But then we heard something running, fast, circling around the shack, leaves crunching everywhere at once, like whatever was going to move way faster than a person should. Tyler ran back inside. Okay, what the hell was that? And that's when Chris said something that made my blood run cold. Dude, that voice. Did you notice something? What? Tyler asked. Chris swallowed. It sounded exactly like your voice. Nobody laughed after that. We all stood there, frozen, listening. The woods outside were dead, quiet again. Then suddenly, bang, something slammed against the side of the shack. The entire building shook. Tyler shouted, "Yo, what the hell?" Another hit. Bang. Dust fell from the ceiling. Chris whispered, "Guys, we need to leave right now." None of us argued. We rushed outside and headed down the trail as fast as we could. But halfway back to the cars, we heard it again. Footsteps behind us, keeping pace. Slow. Crunch. 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 Every time we stopped, the footsteps stopped too. Tyler whispered, "Don't look back." Of course, that made me want to look back even more. And when I finally did, I saw something standing between the trees. Tall, too tall. Its arms hung almost to its knees, and its head was tilted at this unnatural angle, like it didn't understand how necks were supposed to work. But the worst part was its face, because even from far away, I could see it smiling, and in a voice that sounded exactly like Tyler's. It said, "Wait for me." And that's when we started running, full sprint down the mountain trail, branches whipping past our faces, heart pounding like crazy. But those footsteps behind us, they were still there, getting closer, faster, and right before we reached the cars, we heard something that made all of us stop dead in our tracks. 3 different voices, all calling our names, from the darkness of the Appalachian Mountains, and none of them sounded human. 3 different voices, all calling our names, from the darkness of the Appalachian woods, and none of them sounded human. For a second, none of us moved. It felt like our brains just completely froze. Then Tyler whispered something I'll never forget. "Get in the damn trucks right now." We sprinted the last few feet to the parking area. I jumped into my car so fast, I almost dropped the keys. Tyler fired up his truck beside me, headlights blasting into the forest. For a moment, everything looked normal again. Just trees, fog, empty woods. Then Chris screamed, Dude, look." I turned toward the tree line, and that's when I saw it clearly for the first time. Something stepped out between the trees, tall, at least 7 feet, maybe taller. Its body looked wrong, like someone tried to build a human, but got the proportions completely messed up. Its arms were way too long, its shoulders hunched forward like a broken puppet, and its face, its face, it looked almost human, but stretched, skin pulled tight across the bones, and its mouth was smiling, so wide it didn't look natural. Then it spoke again, but this time, it sounded exactly like me. "Jake." My stomach dropped instantly. Tyler yelled from his truck, "Go, go, go." I slammed my car into reverse and peeled out of the dirt lot, gravel spraying everywhere. Tyler's truck roared behind me. We hit the mountain road flying way too fast, headlights bouncing off the trees as we sped downhill. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I kept checking my rear view mirror, half expecting to see that thing chasing us. For a few minutes, there was nothing, just dark road, and the woods rushing past. Then Tyler's voice crackled through my phone. He had called me while driving. "Dude, don't freak out, but look in your mirror." That sentence alone made my heart start pounding again. I slowly looked up at the mirror, and I swear Something was running along the tree line beside the road, keeping pace with my car, and we were doing at least 60 miles an hour. It moved between the trees like it wasn't even touching the ground, gliding, twisting around trunks, sometimes disappearing, then reappearing closer, and every time the headlights caught it, that same huge smile was on its face. Then suddenly, it vanished, just gone, like it melted back into the forest. Tyler's truck pulled up beside me at the next intersection. We both slammed the brakes. The road was empty, no movement, no sound, just the wind finally blowing through the trees again. Chris leaned out of Tyler's window. Pretend that didn't just happen. Nobody laughed. Nobody said anything. We just drove back into town. Completely silent. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't, because the next morning, something happened that made everything 100 times worse. I woke up around 9 a.m. My phone had like 15 missed calls from Tyler. I called him back immediately. He answered, sounding completely freaked out. "Bro, something's wrong." "What?" I asked. Tyler hesitated. Then he said, "You know that thing last night? It came back." My stomach twisted instantly. "What are you talking about?" Tyler whispered, "Dude, it was outside my house." Apparently around 3 a.m., Tyler heard someone knocking on his front door. Slow, 3 knocks, then silence. At first he thought it was one of us messing around. So he went to the door and asked, "Who's there?" And from the other side, he heard my voice, perfectly copying me. "Yo, Tyler, it's Jake. Open up." Tyler said his entire body moved, because he knew I was at my own house, across town, so he looked through the peephole, and what he saw made him drop to the floor. Something was standing on his porch, tall, too tall for the doorway, its head bent sideways so it fit under the roof, and its face was still smiling. Then it spoke again, but this time, it used Chris's voice. "Tyler, we know you're in there." He said it stood on the porch for almost 10 minutes, knocking every few seconds, trying different voices. My voice, Chris's voice, even Tyler's own voice. Eventually, it just walked off into the woods behind his house, like it lost interest. After Tyler finished telling me that, I sat there completely silent, because something hit me all at once. The thing from the woods. It wasn't just following us, it was learning us, learning our voices, our names, maybe even where we lived. And if that thing could come into town, then the woods weren't keeping contained anymore. That night, none of you slept, and for the next week, something strange kept happening around town. People hearing their names being called from the forest, dogs barking in empty tree lines, and sometimes, late at night, someone would hear knocking on their door, 3 slow knocks, then silence. Eventually the locals started whispering about something, an old Appalachian legend, something the older folks call the mimic, a creature that lives deep in the mountains, watching hikers, hunters, travelers, learning their voices, learning how humans move, learning how humans talk. And once it knows enough, it follows you home to see how close it can get before you realize the voice at your door isn't human anymore. But the worst part, the part that still keeps me awake at night, is something Tyler told me last week. He moved out of that house after the porch incident, packed everything, left town completely, but before he left, he installed a security camera on his old front door, just in case. 3 nights ago, that camera sent him a motion alert at 2:47 a.m. Something was standing on the porch again, but this time, it wasn't smiling. It was just standing there, looking straight at the camera, and in a voice that sounded exactly like Tyler. It said, "I know where you moved." And that's when the video ended because the camera suddenly shut off and nobody has heard from Tyler since. So if you ever find yourself driving through the Appalachian Mountains at night and you hear someone call your name from the woods, don't answer, don't stop, and whatever you do, if someone knocks on your door at 3 a.m. using your own voice, do not open it because whatever is out there is still learning, and the next voice it comes